Today I'm getting ready to check deck height. I'm mocking up the engine dry. There's no sealant here. Just getting the head studs in. Then I will get the piston cylinders in here and the deck height tool. The book says not to bottom these out on the case savers because it can damage the threads. So I'm going all the way down and then about one turn backwards on all of them. They do wiggle a little bit, but I tried taking them all the way down and they still wiggle anyway. So I think with a bit of sealant that should get them more stiff. And also I don't want to put the sealant in there until everything is measured and I have the proper cylinder spacers in, because I'll be torquing the heads on the top here. So I'm only going to do this dry for now, measure everything, and then once I know I'm ready to put everything in, I will do it with the sealant, because I don't want to get halfway up, then everything dries up, and then I slap the heads on and start torquing them and then crack the sealant or whatever. I prefer to do everything from here to the heads in one day and then do the rocker geometry and everything else. If I have to do it on another day, that's fine, but I don't want to break this part into two. I will do it once dry and then do it once with, or as many times as I need to dry, but then do it once with the sealant. I have piston ring pliers from Amazon, ring compressor, 8mm head studs, and my piston cylinder kit here. Mine are already installed. I'm not sure if this came from the factory or my machine shop put those in when they balanced everything, because when I balanced the crankshaft and flywheel, they also did the weight on these and the rods that you've seen in other videos. So I'm just going to check them anyway. I will remove them. The book says they should have a mark that says top. Yeah, there it is, top 2. I'll make sure all that is properly aligned. So I'll take them out, measure the gap. I'll put one in. I'll check the gap with the top one. That's what the book says, just to make sure they have the correct size and they didn't mix it up before packaging. And once I have that, I'll put everything in there and check the deck height. I also have these cheap snap ring pliers. I already owned these. You can tell they're dirty and used from another project, so those will be useful for these little guys to go in that gap. One thing from the book that I don't really understand is it tells you to put these gaps on the opposite ends. Like right now I'm lining them up. That's a wrong way to do it. They have to be on opposite sides. It says looking down on the crown. They should be on opposite ends, but they should also not be aligned to the pin holes, and they should also not be on the bottom. So I was going to put one on top and one underneath, but if they can't be on the bottom, they can't be opposite. I don't know if that makes sense. So whenever I order the cylinder spacers, I will take that off time to figure out what I'm supposed to do here with these. Okay, I got the top cylinder off. Following the Tom Wilson book, it says to just check that one to make sure you have the correct set. And I'm glad I did. I tried getting them out with these. It was a pain. I just did it with my fingers and it was fine. So I'm not sure you really need these. You do need these ones for the little pins, but I think you can get away without the ring pliers. And I found the spec on the Bentley tells you to put the top ring in there 5 millimeters down from the top, from the bottom, sorry. And the gap should be 0.3 to 0.45 millimeters. This is 0.3. And there's no way it will fit in there. I already measured it and it's actually 0.1. So now I need to find out if this is something I can just grab a file and cut it down, or if I'm supposed to order different rings, but I'm glad I checked and I'll be checking all of them. Okay, this is saying 12.61 millimeters. $12.59 to 61. 12.6, I'll say. And I think I'm in top dead center. I just need to know how wide this part is. So I have about 1 millimeter deck height. I'll write that down and do all 4 of them, and then I'll determine which size spacer I need to have underneath. But just by saying the first one, I know that I will definitely need a spacer. I don't know what size, but I know that I'll at least need one. Oh, by the way, I measured this properly when I took it off, and the deck height for this one came out at 1.26 millimeters, which is within spec. So depending on what compression you want to run, if you get these AA 88 thick walls and you're running a 69 millimeter crank, you could run them out of the box without any spacers, depending on what you want, but they're within spec. Twelve point 56, 12 point, somewhere between 12.5 and 12.5 something. Let's see the middle. 12.6. I will say 12.55, and I think that makes it almost identical to the other one. So I think I'm in pretty good shape. Now I'll do the other side, and I'll check the book because there's tolerances on how different they can be from each other for all four. So I'm seeing a very slight difference, which could be in the way I'm measuring. It's, you know, could be human error. It could be that I'm not perfectly on top dead center. So as long as I'm within those tolerances, I'll be fine. I'm also using a cheap caliper that could be, you know, depending on the angle, I could be measuring 0.01 more, 0.01 less, one way or the other. I'm not going to worry too much about it as long as I'm not exactly on the bottom end of the range. If I'm well within range, I'll be happy and I'll just run it that way. And I also want my compression to be 8:1. So the only reason I would add spacers is if my compression comes up too high with the combustion chamber volume that I already measured. So if I'm already at 8:1 or lower, if I'm at 7.5 to 8, I won't run spacers, and as long as they're all within range. I hope that makes sense. So the kit comes with 5 long ones, just in case you have what I have, which is a deeper stud on number 3. So that's great. Looks like exactly what I needed. Then it's at the same height as this other one, and the shorter ones go in the middle. Alright, I'm done doing the deck height for all four. It turns out I'll need a 0.02 inch spacer to come up with a 7.9 to 1 compression ratio. So in the meantime, while I'm still waiting for those spacers to come in the mail, I haven't even ordered yet, but I can go ahead and put the oil cooler, the flywheel, and the full flow fitting. Which I checked every single piston ring for all four cylinders. Top two, they were all good, and then top one, only this one had enough gap, which is surprising. So I went out and bought a little file, and I will carefully open up the gap. They all need to be opened by about 0.15 millimeters, so I will try to do it very carefully. This is top one. I don't think it's focusing, but it says top one right there. There you go. I was told to do this in only one direction. You can see how it's eating up. And then I had to clean it out with 1000 grit just to make sure I didn't leave any sharp edges. Okay, that's enough. I'll do it very slowly, try it out. I need to vacuum this area before I put the cylinder here, just so I don't get any of those filings in there. Wipe down the ring and do that for all of them. I'm testing out the gap. Right now it's at 0.2. I know it's upside down. I don't think it matters when checking the gap, but you can see it's at 0.2, which means I opened it 0.05. So I need to take it out and do twice as much as I just did, and then I should be up at 0.3 millimeters. Making sure it's level using a piston. It's pretty good. Oof. So now it barely fits, but a couple more passes and it should be fine. Whew. I did one more pass. Now I'm checking it from the top. 0.3. The gap is right there. Oof. Gets halfway in. So I probably messed up the shape. Oh, if I push hard, I can get it in. So I'll leave it there. Probably an issue with the angle. I bet I should be doing this with a vise and doing it straight, whatever, but this is good enough for me. I'm at the minimum clearance. It can wear out and sit better and then open up a bit more. So a very tight 0.3 is good enough for me. One down. I'll do exactly the same with the other two. No need to record this more times, so hopefully I did a good job there. We'll find out. Now they're all fixed. I'm erasing my notes, and I will see if I can post a clip of the proper way to do this. There's expensive machinery you can buy to gap the rings properly, but to me, for under $10, this little Crescent Nicholson worked out pretty well. Maybe find out whenever I post a test drive video if this is a good method or not, but I think I'm pretty happy with the results so far.